Alright, this is Matthew, and you know, atheism is a ridiculous claim.
Atheism's not a claim, it's a rejection of other people's supernatural claims due to lack of evidence. It has nothing to do with the Big Bang or evolution. Here's a little experiment for you, TC. Grab your dictionary. Webster, Oxford, Cambridge, Longman, whatever. Look up the word atheism. See if there's any mention of the word Big Bang or evolution. Then look up evolution and see if any definitions mention atheism. You'll find that atheism and evolution and the Big Bang are not connected.
The idea that the universe popped out of nothing and then over billions of years it cooled off and became rocks, and these rocks became plants and animals, and these plants and animals became human beings.
No scientist claims the universe came from nothing. Please refrain from lying. It damages your case. We can confirm much about our past by our ability to observe galaxy, star and solar system formation right now.
Science is based purely around observation and measurement, and the vast majority of research involves some type of practical experimentation. So you can't just theorize and come up with a bunch of concepts and theories. You have to come up with a hypothesis that's observable and measurable and practical, and then it becomes...
Ah, TC, now I understand. Oh, how dangerous is a little knowledge. Looks like you've confused your words here. I do believe that the word you're looking for is predictable and not practical. Do that, and I believe you now have a valid definition of the scientific method. When the Big Bang was formulated, it predicted cosmic microwave background radiation. This was subsequently discovered. That's real science for you there. Darwin, of course, correctly predicted where man's ancestors will be found, i.e. in Africa, and the location of the transitional Tiktaalik was also predicted. Oh, for the record, evolution is practical. Check out how the Genome Project are working on cures for such things as Alzheimer's.
a fact. Okay, so you can't just theorize and claim that, oh well, this is fact. You can't do that.
So the gradual increase in complexity of organisms over geological time is not fact? How do you arrive at that one, TC?
Because you're dumber than dirt.
I may be dumber than dirt, but at least I can spell Darwinian.
Number one, natural selection tautology. Many evolutionists will say that natural selection is what causes evolution. It's what causes all of the diversity on Earth.
Nope, only half the story. It is random mutation and genetic drift that is acted upon by natural selection. Still, carry on, TC.
But this is obviously false, because natural selection is a tautology, and a tautology is a sentence or statement that doesn't make any sense.
Nope, TC, that is not the definition of tautology. I'll leave it to you to check that dictionary again.
Those that survive, survive. The lucky ones that survive and don't catch diseases, plagues, infections, viruses, those are the ones that survive.
Who told you this nonsense, TC? Natural selection is not about individuals surviving diseases. Granted, disease, etc. is one small aspect of natural selection. Guess what? Those with mutations that can fight the disease survive. Your big problem is that you cannot get out of the mindset of changes taking place to individuals within a generation. That is not what evolution is about. It's the accumulation of unobservable changes over long periods of time. Evolution is the survival of the best adapted. Rapid natural disasters can even negate those adaptations, leading to the extinction of a species, but at the same time to the advantage of others. Until you understand that, you have no business trying to debunk it.
So, these 4 dots represent apes, and this is just a scenario to get going with.
Just a scenario? Nice to see the scientific method in action.
These 4 dots represent 10 apes. So natural selection, all it says is that the apes that catch all of the diseases and infections and viruses and plagues and all this bad stuff, those are the ones that die out.
Nope. Natural selection says nothing of the sort. TC, you're going to need more than a mere dictionary as your cure. You need to find out what evolution really says. It is a waste of everybody's time debunking something that nobody has claimed.
Let me give you an analogy to work with. A toy factory. A toy factory that produces toys.
A toy factory that produces, of all things, toys. Who'd have thought of that? Crap analogy, TC. Your example involves design and has a goal for the perfect toy. This is an unnatural selection of inanimate objects. Unlike natural selection that acts upon organic, replicating objects that are prone to random mutations during the copying process.
Okay, we wouldn't see new toys coming out of nothing. We would see this toy factory which was created, because we know a creation has a creator.
And you will never see a new species come out of nothing unless you have scientific evidence to the contrary.
Okay, now that we've gone through natural selection, let's go to symbiotic relationships. This is very interesting. Now, what is symbiosis? Symbiosis is the relationship between two or more living organisms, and evolution does not support symbiosis.
Evolution is the only possible explanation for symbiosis. Do you honestly think that the grub of a warblefly that can destroy the spine of its host is evidence of design? Do you honestly think that the parasite that causes river blindness is the result of creation? Do you honestly think that the millions of beneficial bacteria in your gut was placed there by a designer? Consider bees and flowers. Do flowers need bees? No, of course not. Pollination can be actioned by flies, mammals, and of course the wind.
But the thing is, symbiosis has been observed, and such as the oxpecker and the rhino, they depend on each other to survive.
Another experiment for you, TC. Go to your local zoo and see how many oxpeckers you can find in the rhino enclosure.
So, according to evolutionists, dust, rocks and water are the three main components for life to arise.
I'd love to see an evolutionary source that claims that dust, rock and water are the three main components for survival. Ironically, this is a statement from somebody who subscribes that man was created from dust alone.
And even if this did create a male Homo sapien, you would also need the female, because it's a symbiotic relationship. The male has a symbiotic relationship with the female.
Well, I won't pretend to know exactly how sexual as opposed to asexual reproduction evolved, but what I do know is that eukaryotic life reproduces sexually, and we have clear evidence of eukaryotic life developing in complexity over geological time. Sexual reproduction makes so much sense, as it allows for variety, which of course is the bedrock of evolution. You are still stuck in the mindset of individuals appearing in synchronization with other individuals. Evolution could not be further away than from your incorrect claims. Oh, and by the way, evidence points towards asexual organisms preceding sexual organisms, so reproduction by sex obviously evolved.
And it simply demands that there must be some kind of intelligent agency that created everything.
Nope. If you do not know something, history has repeatedly taught us that God done it is not a valid default answer.
Okay, they reproduce, but they only have one kid. Okay, they only have one child. How would that one child be able to reproduce?
That one child would reproduce with one child of another couple within the population. Makes a lot more sense than the rampant incest that took place in the Garden of Eden and after the mythical flood.
So, in the end, if you actually do the research...
Ah yes, TC, research. Another word I would love you to check in your dictionary.
Because of God. God created us.
And the science that proves this statement is... I won't hold my breath, TC.
And that's how it began. Okay, it didn't come together by a bunch of nuclear explosions.
Nuclear explosions? I've heard it all now. TC, what exactly is whizzing around in that brain of yours?
Okay, evolution says that DNA is corrected and refined over time. So here are some flaws in human genetics that should have been corrected and refined thousands of years ago. Now, evolution says that this should happen. So here are just some flaws in human genetics that haven't been fixed.
Well, I won't go through each individual item in the list, but all the examples you cite are of poor design and hence disprove a designer. Also, our ability to cheat natural selection, i.e. by unnatural selection, allows us to live longer than in the natural world, and to survive that which would kill certain sections of the population in the natural world. Again, your mindset is wrong. We and every living species is still in the process of speciation. Adaptation takes time, so no surprise that we are still not perfect, whatever that is. We have evolved to be immune from strains of the common cold. When you get a cold, it's a new strain that has evolved. No creator would create the cold that wiped out indigenous populations who had never experienced a cold, and hence never evolved an immunity. Would any designer design kids born with a hole in the heart, or being born blind, or needing glasses from the age of 4?
It can be any atheist to answer some of my issues.
Surely you mean pro-evolutionist and not atheist. And boy oh boy, TC, do you have some issues.